As if I don't already have enough horror books, I just got another package from the fine folks over at Nightworms. Yes, indeed, the August 2022 package from Nightworms has just arrived. For those of you who don't know, Nightworms is a monthly horror book subscription service. It's similar to Horror Pack, except that while Horror Pack gives you horror movies, and I make another monthly video in which I open those up, Nightworms sends horror books. Most months they send 2, every once in a while there's an extra one. It feels like there are 2 in this one. They also send a goodie bag that comes with a variety of other stuff. In any case, one of the things I do on this channel is every month I open up these packages. This one has just arrived, so it's time for me to open this one up and see what books we received for August 2022. Now, for those of you who've been paying attention to social media, there is some controversy surrounding this month's Nightworms package. We'll be getting to that in a moment, but I think the best thing to do first is just to open this up and see what's inside. So let's go ahead and do that. I do know a little bit actually about what's inside of this one because of that controversy that I mentioned. I don't know exactly what's inside this one. I like to maintain the surprise, but I couldn't avoid some of the discussion. But I will be discovering with certainty at the same time as you are. I do see that there's 2 books inside. Let's get right to it. The first one is a hardcover, and that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This is a book that I'm not familiar with, but I recently discovered this author, T. Kingfisher. One of her other books was recommended to me a couple months back. That was a book called The Hollow Places. It's a story about a sort of oddities museum, which is absolutely my kind of place. Obviously, Dr. McCoy and I have a lot of oddities around here. In fact, we'll be at some point making a video about some of my own collection of oddities because my house is turning into a museum. So do make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on that. Anyway, The Hollow Places, it's about this museum. They have oddities, taxidermy, weird curiosities. And they discover a sort of portal to another world inside the museum. And it ends up being this sort of neo-Lovecraftian horror novel. And I really loved that one, primarily because of that setting in the Oddities Museum. This one I'm not familiar with, but let's go ahead and read the description and see what we're in for. The description says, when Alex Easton, a retired soldier, receives word that their childhood friend Madeline Usher is dying, they race to the ancestral home of the Ushers in the remote countryside of Ruritania. What they find there is a nightmare of fungal growths and possessed wildlife surrounding a dark, pulsing lake. Madeline sleepwalks and speaks in strange voices at night, and her brother Roderick is consumed by a mysterious malady of the nerves. Aided by a redoubtable British mythologist and a baffled American doctor, Alex must unravel the secret of the House of Usher before it consumes them all. So this sounds like a sort of retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher, Edgar Allan Poe's story. I don't know exactly what to expect, except that it is sort of connected to the House of Usher. So it sounds intriguing. I know a lot of people are excited whenever T. Kingfisher comes out with a new book. It's one that I don't yet have in my library, so I'm quite pleased to have acquired this one. And the next one to come out of the pack is called Black Tide by K.C. Jones. The description on the back of this one says, "It was just another day at the beach, then the world ended. Mike and Beth were strangers before the night of the meteor shower. Chance made them neighbors, a bottle of champagne brought them together, and a shared need for human connection sparked something more. Following their drunken and desperate one-night stand, the two discover the astronomical event has left widespread destruction in its wake. But the cosmic light show was only part of something much bigger and far more terrifying. When a lost car key leaves them stranded on an empty stretch of Oregon coast and inhuman screams echo from the dunes, when the rising tide reaches for their car and unspeakable horrors close in around them, these two self-destructive souls must fight to survive a nightmare of apocalyptic scale. That sounds like my kind of story. I sort of like the setting, stranded on an empty stretch of road. I like an apocalyptic story. There's a lot going for this. It's a book and an author with which I'm not familiar yet, but there's some good quotes on the back from some people who I have read, and it sounds quite intriguing. So I'm also pleased to welcome this one into my collection. However, this book is also the subject of the aforementioned controversy surrounding this month's Nightworms package, because this book, Black Tide, was not originally meant to be the book that was included this month. The one that was originally meant to be included and was announced, and I should back up a second and say, when I say announced, they do put spoilers on their Instagram page, the Nightworms Instagram page, where if you want to click through and see what's coming in each month's package, you can do so. They don't spoil it automatically. You have to actually click through. It's hidden behind another image. But that's just so in case people are worried about getting duplicates or something, they could cancel their subscription for 1 month, or if they're not interested in the book, they don't have to buy each month's package. I think that's a good compromise between maintaining the suspense for those of us who like to open up a surprise package each month, and also sort of protecting the people who may not want to get duplicate books, because sometimes they are featuring new releases, and if you happen to be buying all these new horror books as they come out, you might end up with 2 copies. Anyway, they had announced a different book called Sallow Bend by Alan Baxter instead of Black Tide for this month, for August 2022. Well, that book didn't end up coming in. I don't believe it was Nightworms' fault. It was published by Cemetery Dance, and they've gotten somewhat notorious for delays. So my suspicion is that this was a publisher's delay. And I like Cemetery Dance. They put out a great product, but as I say, they've gotten notorious for delays. There are books that years later we're still waiting for. So my assumption is it was a publisher's issue that delayed the book. The Nightworms people couldn't get it on time. That was Sallow Bend by Alan Baxter. And so even though they had already announced that book, instead of delaying all of these packages, they didn't want to back things up. They wanted to get us our packages on time. They managed to substitute this book instead. And I think that was the right decision for them to make. It's somewhat controversial because people were looking forward to Sallow Bend by Alan Baxter, and instead we got Black Tide by Casey Jones. Personally, I'm happy enough with this. I did want to read the other one, but I want to read this one too. It sounds like a great book, and in light of the fact that I don't think this was Nightworms' problem, I don't think this was their mistake. I think this actually was something on the publisher's end, or maybe on the distribution end. In light of all of that, I think we need to be understanding and not too angry with the switch up at Nightworms. What I don't know is whether Sallow Bend will be coming in a future Nightworms package. I don't know. Maybe this was going to be one of the future ones and they just switched them out. I don't know the answer to that question. I sort of hope that Sallow Bend is still coming in one of their packages, but that's something that if you want to know, you may need to reach out to the Nightworms people to find out, or you could just keep waiting for the next few months and see whether or not it shows up. Personally, I have not yet reached out to them because I wanted to open this up and confirm everything that I had read, and in fact, what I'm seeing, it does match what I had read. But I wanted to open up my package first. I will be reaching out to them myself at some point in the next couple days or weeks, whenever I have a few minutes, just to find out whether I should buy myself a copy of Sallow Bend or whether I should wait and expect it in a future package. Anyway, that's the controversy this month. Sometimes these things just happen, unfortunately. I do think the Nightworms people handled it admirably. They were transparent and they were communicating through their social media, letting people know what was going on. So I think some people are probably disappointed. In fact, I know some people are disappointed. I've heard a lot of controversy. I've heard some discussion around this, but I think they handled it well. So I'm pleased with this package so far, but we're not yet finished. We still need to look at the goodie bag. In addition to the books, every month they include a little goodie bag, and it usually has a bookmark and some other paper stuff and maybe some stickers, maybe some book plates, signed book plates to go with the books, all kinds of stuff. So I'm looking forward to digging into this and seeing what's in this goodie bag. Before I do that, let me just take a moment to remind you to do all the YouTube-y kinds of stuff. Like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe, ring the notification bell, leave me a comment. Maybe leave a comment regarding the controversy and what you think about Cemetery Dance delays and the Nightworms switch up this month. So let me know what you think. I'm always interested in hearing what people are thinking about what's going on in the horror genre. In addition, do make sure you check the What's It, where I will leave all kinds of notes, including purchase links where you can buy these books, as well as links to all of my other projects, including the Do You Like Scary Movies podcast. I've put one of those podcasts here on the channel, so you can check that out if you're interested. If you want to check out the rest of the podcast, it's pretty much weekly. You can go to the website that's linked down in the What's It. I'm also part of the Rocky Mountain Paranormal Research Society, and we're doing a lot of exciting things this month, so you're not going to want to miss out on any of that stuff. So in addition to all the YouTube stuff, make sure you read the What's It, and you'll stay abreast of the situation as I do all kinds of interesting, creepy things. Anyway, let's go ahead and open up this little goodie bag and see what's in here, shall we? Okay, the first thing out is a bookmark. This is the monthly Nightworms bookmark. It says August 2022, it says Nightworms, and it says Growing Darkness. That's their theme for this month. I always like getting their bookmarks. Let's see what else we have. We have, this is interesting, and this feeds back into that controversy. We have an autographed book plate for Sallow Bend, for the book that did not come in this package because of the delay and the mix-up. I do like this. It's a book that I was going to be getting one way or the other, so whether it comes in next month's package or a couple months down the road, or whether I just have to go and buy myself a copy, I do now have a book plate to go into it. This just shows you that they had to make that decision at sort of the last minute. I'm glad they had another book ready, but they'd already assembled their goodie bags, so we ended up with one that doesn't quite fit what actually came in this package, but it's still a nice thing to have. Next, we have a little packet. This is tea from Riddle's Book and Tea Company. It's called Book Hangover. It says, being a bold hazelnut blend to recuperate after a book bender. I've mentioned before, they usually have either a tea or a coffee or something of the sort. I'm a little bit more of a coffee man than a tea man myself, but I do like an occasional tea, and I certainly like the theme of this particular tea, so that's a lovely little addition. Next up, we have the little pamphlet, the little sheet that tells us everything that was meant to be in the package. Most of it is still what was in the package, but of course it mentions Sallow Bend by Alan Baxter with the book plate, and there was of course that substitution. On the back it has an ad for Riddle's Tea Shop along with a coupon code, which I will not show you. If you want the discount, you'll have to purchase a Nightworms subscription for yourself, but that is on the back here. And then we have another book plate. This one is signed by T. Kingfisher, so that will go with this book. That'll go with What Moves the Dead. So one of the book plates still matches, so that's nice. And then we have some assorted little things. Let's see. That's everything. So we have a little sticker. It's a skull in a coffee cup or a teacup. And a fridge magnet, which says horror. This book is rated H for horror, which includes but is not limited to anything that scares anyone. Gore, violence, mania, blood, panic, chainsaws, monsters, closets, sharks, spiders, ghouls, attics, basements, religious people, your own body, someone else's body, aliens, ghosts, demons, bugs, clowns, literally any expletive thing, okay? A few of my favorite things, I suppose, is the way we should phrase the list of items on this little magnet. I don't know what I'm even going to do with this, but I'm sure I'll display it proudly somewhere because, well, it sort of describes my life, doesn't it? Anyway, that is this month's August 2022 Nightworms package. 2 great books, some signed book plates, a little bit of controversy, along with some extra little goodies. I'm pleased as always with this package. As it turns out, on the same day that this arrived, the August 2022 horror packs, the horror movies subscription service, also arrived. So I'm going to space these videos out a little bit. I got them both on the same day, but I'm not going to post these videos on the same day. But make sure you stick around for the next video in which I look at the August 2022 horror packs. Until then, take care and stay scared.